You ever wake up and realize all the rules have changed overnight? That's what happened to me the day the curfew started. Not a word of warning, not a single reason. Just, bam, stay home, doors locked by 6, streets empty by 7. If you break it, they say it's for your safety. But I know what fear smells like. And it isn't safe. It's sharp. It's everywhere. The first morning my phone vibrated at 5 a.m. A blaring official message. Martial law in effect. Remain indoors. No explanation. The group chat blew up. My sister Kelly sent a string of question marks, while my neighbor, old Mr. Baxter, started ranting about government experiments again. Mom tried to call Dad, but his line was already dead. Across the street, soldiers in masks and riot gear set up checkpoints by the highway exit. Nobody in, nobody out. The news said nothing except routine operation. But since when is the National Guard routine? We tried to joke about it at first. Kelly called it Martial Law Monday and did a TikTok dance under the window, half laughing, half scared. Mom scolded her, but her hands shook as she drew the blinds. Our dog, Rudy, barked at the army trucks outside until Dad snapped at him. Tension built like a pressure cooker. I watched the street. No one walked by, not even the mailman. That never happens here in Franklin, Ohio. It's the kind of town where people mow their lawns in matching shirts and wave to strangers. But the waving stopped. The lawns stayed overgrown. Even the birds seemed quieter, like they'd been warned too. By Tuesday, the phone started dying. Not just losing service, going totally dead. Kelly's iPhone flickered and bricked itself mid-TikTok. My own screen filled with green static and then shut off. Mom's old landline worked until noon, then went silent. After that, people vanished. First, it was just the crazy neighbor, Mr. Baxter. Then a whole family at the end of the street, gone overnight, car still in the driveway. Drones started flying low, buzzing over rooftops with red lights scanning windows. If you waved at them, they'd pause, then move on. We started closing the curtains for good. Neighbors whispered about containment. We met in our kitchens or garages, voices low, scared the wrong word might trigger something. Kelly found Dad's old ham radio and tried to tune in to anyone still broadcasting. Static, mostly. Occasionally, a panicked voice, cut off mid-sentence. Someone mentioned roadblocks on the outskirts. Another person said the hospital was closed and the doctors weren't answering calls. Wednesday, I saw the first person break the rules. He was a big guy, used to play football, I think. Walked right down the middle of Main Street at noon, hands up yelling, "I'm not sick." Nobody moved to help. No one even opened their doors. A truck rolled up, army men jumped out, and within seconds he was screaming and dragged away. We all watched from behind our blinds, feeling useless and small. Kelly cried. Mom hugged her. I just stared, numb, thinking, what the hell is going on? After that, the silence got thicker. No cars, no laughter, no music. Even Rudy stopped barking. Some people tried to obey, waiting for the soldiers to leave, but every day they set up more cameras, more checkpoints, more barriers. Mom stopped cooking. Dad started boarding up the doors. My hands hurt from hammering nails, but it gave me something to do. Anything to drown out the dread. It was Kelly's idea to resist. She gathered the neighbors who were left. Mrs. Chang from next door, Mr. Alvarez and his teenage son Miguel, even the old high school janitor Rick. We covered our windows with sheets and cardboard, smashed the little blinking cameras glued to the mailbox. Someone brought an old baseball bat. Another had a kitchen knife. Rick, the janitor, used to be in the army. He taught us how to hold a weapon, how to watch for movement, how to fight if we had to. That was the first night I didn't feel totally helpless. We weren't just waiting anymore. We were preparing. And in the darkness, with the world outside frozen and wrong, I realized that none of the old rules mattered. We had to make our own. There's something wrong with midnight now. You can feel it in the way the house holds its breath after dark. We started sleeping in shifts. Kelly, Dad, me. One person always awake, bat in hand, watching the door. Even Rudy, who used to sleep belly up on the couch, paces the hall and whines. I got used to the hunger pretty fast, but not the fear. It sinks into your stomach, never leaves. The first time they came was a Thursday. We didn't hear glass break. We didn't even hear the door. Just a crash from down the block, followed by a scream so sharp it sliced through the night, and a silence that lasted too long. Mom said not to look. Of course, we all looked. Lights out, peeking between the cardboard taped to the window, I saw shadows moving across the neighbor's yard. Long arms, heads that jerked too fast. Not soldiers, not human. I wanted to believe it was just the army, roughing someone up. But nothing human moves like that, all elbows and open mouths, hungry and twitching. Mrs. Chang's porch light snapped on for a second, just long enough to see a pale figure, teeth bared, eyes black. Then, darkness again. A car alarm went off. More screams, and then silence, thicker than before. Every night the same pattern, something out there, testing windows and doors. Not everyone screams, some people are just gone. The next day you see the evidence, doors open, blood on the step, no bodies. We tried not to ask questions. The group got smaller each morning. Rick, the janitor, said it was a predator culling the herd. He started sleeping in his boots, knife taped to his leg. We stopped waiting for the army to save us. Kelly kept pushing to do something, so we went underground. The old sewer tunnels by the school. Dad remembered the maintenance grate near the creek. It smelled like rot and old shoes, but at least it was somewhere the drones wouldn't see us. The first night down there, we ran into a different kind of problem. There were people already hiding, eyes wild, clutching bags of food and garbage. One woman barked at us, threatening to cut our throats if we came any closer. Miguel, who barely talked before, stepped up and talked her down, offering half a protein bar. That was enough to let us share the space, at least for a night. There's no quiet in the tunnels, just distant echoes, dripping water, far-off screams, a shuffle of feet that might not be human. We learned to sleep with one eye open. Kelly started writing in a little notebook, tracking what we saw, what we heard, the people who didn't make it. I asked her why she bothered, but she said, "Someone has to remember us." A weird thing started happening. Memories, mine, not just hers, started to slip. I'd close my eyes and see my sister in the yard, years ago, falling off her bike and crying. But sometimes I remembered her not crying, just getting up and laughing, like nothing hurt her. I remembered Mom reading to me in bed, but in another version, it was Dad. Some nights I dreamed about Kelly being taken during the first attack, but then I'd wake up and she'd be right there, scribbling notes by flashlight, humming the stupid pop song we both hated. I stopped trusting my own mind. I started asking her to tell me about her day, over and over, to anchor myself to something real. It got worse with the others. Rick started repeating stories, word for word, but sometimes he changed the ending. Mr. Alvarez forgot his own son's name, called him Kid or Buddy. Sometimes Miguel would just stare at us with a grin too wide, like he was waiting for a punchline we'd never get. It was like something was rewriting us quietly under the skin. That's when I realized the monsters outside didn't just want to eat us. They wanted to erase us, memory by memory. No bites, no blood, just smiles and questions and a silence that eats you from the inside out. And as the days blended together underground, I started to wonder if we were already infected, and if the worst part was never knowing when it happened. There's a point where fear just stops working, where it burns out and leaves something raw and stubborn in its place. For me, it happened after Mrs. Chang disappeared. No blood, No noise, just gone. We checked her old bedroom in the tunnels, found her glasses on her pillow, but nothing else. Kelly stood there shaking, holding the glasses like they'd explain anything. Rick just muttered about the enemy within and kept sharpening his knife. Even Miguel, who'd gone weirdly quiet the last few days, looked up and said, "It's not safe anywhere." We spent 3 days underground before the food ran out. That's when Rick snapped, said we should fight back or die trying. He wanted to hit the surface and storm a checkpoint, but I knew that was suicide. Kelly had a different idea. They want us afraid. They want us to disappear quietly, she said. But if we make enough noise, someone might notice. We argued, but her voice broke through the haze of hunger and fear. We decided to try it her way. That night we snuck out just before dawn. The streets were different. Burned cars, smashed drones, blackout curtains fluttering in broken windows. We made our way to the nearest checkpoint, carrying bottles filled with gasoline and torn-up t-shirts for wicks. The air tasted like metal and old fire. Rick went first, lobbing a Molotov over the barrier. It burst into flames, and for a second, I thought maybe we had a chance. But then gunfire rattled out, soldiers yelling. Rick went down. Miguel froze, eyes wide. I grabbed Kelly and ran. Bullets bit into the pavement, chasing us as we ducked into a convenience store. Inside, we found a teenager, barely 16, bleeding from a bullet wound but alive. He handed us an old radio and said, "Broadcast. Tell them what's happening." I stared at the radio like it was a relic from another life. Kelly took it, set her jaw, and started talking. "If you hear this, they're lying. It's not safe. Stay off the roads. The monsters aren't what they tell you." She read names, the people we'd lost, the ones erased without a trace. I heard my own voice shaking in the background, but I kept going. The world outside changed after that. More explosions, sirens in the distance. We saw others rising up, Molotovs thrown from rooftops, angry faces at barricades, families helping each other escape. Not everyone made it. Mr. Alvarez was caught and shot. The bleeding kid died with a smile, radio still clutched in his hand. But for a little while, it felt like we were more than just prey. We made it to a rooftop, hiding among AC units and shattered glass. From up there, you could see the city burning, smoke curling over the blocks we used to call home. Gunfire echoed, helicopters circled, but so did voices, calls for help, for resistance, for truth. Kelly cried quietly, clutching her notebook. I hugged her, feeling every loss and every bruise. The dawn came red and angry, but it came. And in that light, with the city ruined and raw, I realized something. Surviving isn't just staying alive. It's refusing to forget. It's screaming the truth, even when nobody wants to hear it. The survivors up there with us, they looked different, harder, but something new burned in their eyes. We'd lost so much, but we still had each other. And if I had to lead, if it meant standing on this rooftop with a busted radio and a battered crew, I'd do it. Because that's all there is left. And that's why I'm telling you this. Because the world only survives if you remember what happened here, what they tried to erase. Stay off the roads. Trust what you feel in your bones. Don't let them turn you into a ghost. And if you're out there, anyone, anywhere, don't be quiet. The truth needs noise. The city needs its screamers. We're still here. If you made it this far, you're one of us now. Don't let the story die. Share it, scream it, and subscribe to Dark Whispers for more tales that the world wants to forget. Stay safe, stay loud, and never stop fighting back.